and we want the fans out of their seat. We want to score goals. We want to get them, momentum on our side, and then on the flip side is when we don't have the ball we got to be dogs.
And there we are live. We got one more guy to bring in. There he is. There's Colin. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Afterburn Soccer Show, Preseason 2026. You saw some highlights there in our opening credits, opening countdown of FC Dallas's friendly victory over Real Salt Lake just a day or two ago. Claiming their first hardware of the year, and we hope there's more to come. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But welcome everyone. Of course, I'm Nathan Heal. You can follow me at Afterburn Soccer, and with me, of course, our regulars: Jose at El Chico Carmona,
hello,
Chris Winters at C Wintus, and Colin, who's on the clock, making that GameStop money at Mr. Couve. But also welcoming special guest tonight, Favian Renkel, coming from the East Coast, joining us on a marathon podcast tour ahead of the 2026 Major League Soccer season. Writer, journalist, analyst with Kickbase USA, has contributed to The Athletic and other fine outlets. Favi, welcome. Thanks for joining the show tonight.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is a true honor. I mean, every single podcast of this whole community means so much to me, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm doing this podcast tour before arguably the biggest MLS season of all time. I know we said that last year, but this is going to be one where the World Cup's in the middle of it, right? So 100% this is going to be the biggest MLS season of all time to date, and what a better way to kind of kick that off with the podcast tour that's going to hopefully be over 50 podcasts, so I started as a podcaster. I was on a podcast called Tectonic Takes for the San Jose Earthquakes, and I feel like this is a perfect way to kind of build up some hype, reliving my podcast days, doing 3 hours a day, talking to all of our MLS sickos around the country, and I'm just excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, definitely some sickos on this call. So 50 podcasts. So what number is this tonight?
This is actually number 2. So I was scheduled to do one yesterday, but unfortunately it was unavailable. So this is number 2. So we got a whole bunch more to go.
All right. Well,
so you're just warming up.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sick of talking about how Messi is going to bring in some, superstars yet. Maybe I get sick of that at like the 20th podcast. We'll find out. How many Messi takes can I have?
Yeah. Well, good. We'll talk a little bit about Kickbase USA in a little bit, but let's just go and jump into some FC Dallas news. It was a busy day for FC Dallas. They returned from their preseason trip to Portugal, preseason camp, which went really well. 3 preseason victories on that end. You got to see a lot of minutes from a lot of guys. But the big news of the day was what we had heard about already rumbling last week. Maarten Paes, longtime goalkeeper, over 100-plus appearances, most in team history for a goalkeeper for FC Dallas, transferred to Ajax. We're going to rumor that really just came to fruition even as Paes was over there. I'm sure that made things easier for them to be in conversation with Ajax. Doesn't look like it's a big payday for FC Dallas, but they did get some compensation. We don't know the details of all of that just yet. But an end to a guy who really a fan favorite. And I just want to note, Colin, I don't know if you have a moment to talk, if you're ringing folks up, but we'll come back to you if you do. But Colin had a really sweet post that Maarten Paes was one of the guys that really took to Dallas as a goalkeeper. He was a great shot stopper, great talent, professional, but he always had time for fans. He always had time to hear the fans out. Good game, bad game. Want to hear Colin give us a little bit of that highlight. But let's just do reactions to this move. Obviously, Michael Collodi took over the starting spot, the number one spot at the end of 2025, and so that kind of made this seem like a win-win for everyone involved, especially with a team like Ajax coming wanting him. Jose, what are your thoughts on this move?
It's a win, 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 win. It's a win for FC Dallas in that they clear who the number one goalkeeper is, which would have been, we thought it was going to be a battle, but now we know who the number one guy is. It's also another win for FC Dallas because they keep that, hey, we are sending players to Europe. You can come play in FC Dallas and your value is not going to drop if we're willing to move you. So coming to MLS, playing for FC Dallas, it's not a dead end. It's not a career ender. You can come here, keep your farm going, do a good showing, and we'll make sure that if an offer comes, we'll take it. So that's a win. It's a win. It's a win for Ajax. They're getting an excellent goalkeeper and a guy who, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes for the number one job at some point, maybe even this season. I know that they're having issues over there, and excellent get for them in honesty, and it's a win for Paes. He's he deserved this. He deserved this move, and I think we're all happy to see him go, and it gives me another team to cheer for.
Colin, tell us your love of interacting with Paes as a leader on this team and a great ambassador for the club.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Paes not only brought so many more eyes to MLS and also to as also with the Indonesian connection to him debuting for Indonesia, but he even said in his goodbye post and his goodbye videos that he kind of came over as like, I guess I'll go to MLS and I'll try to rebuild my career. And it turned into, well, let me actually embrace Dallas. Let me embrace the culture. Let me jump into fantasy football with the social media crew, year one, not knowing a dang thing about fantasy football. And, he just really embraced the culture of America from day one. I mean, he was one of those, like, no matter what the coaches, whether it was Nico or whether it was Luke Son or Quill, he did whatever they wanted him to do. When Quill and Nico were like, hey, you need to start playing from the back more, he would stay hours after working on passing with Michel and all these other, greats from FC Dallas are so connected, working on his passing. New players, whether they're draft picks or coming over from Europe, he would always work with them with leadership and like, hey, you got to get your head on straight. You're here. Like, here's the expectations. Let's go. And it's a very easy decision on why Quill chose him to be the captain of a team that he wants to play like dogs and fight like dogs, and why he chose Maarten to lead that group. The transfer really, there was whispers of it last summer, and of course Maarten got hurt early June, right before the international transfer window opened up, which kind of halted the talks, from what I understand and what I hear through the team and everything. But I mean, Ajax is his boyhood club. It's who he started out playing with and playing for, and who he always wanted to play for. So as soon as that came up, it was more of a, Sonata came forward, was like, hey, Maarten, we have an offer for you. Brought it to Quill, and Maarten, without even stopping a beat, like, can you, like, you have Collodi, you have Michael, a certain trialist, which I technically can't name until he's signed, is a good number two that they have, and someone that can also develop in North Texas if they have to. And they're really high on him as well. And they're like, we're fine. And we know this is your boyhood club, and they came asking for you, not the other way around of us trying to sell you to him. Do you want to go? And Maarten was like, sure, as long as you're fine with me going, I'll go. And that kind of attitude is what Maarten has always had. He's willing to sacrifice for the club and for teams. During the really bad form last year, where we were looking like the worst start in club history and everything, every game, no matter what it was, home or away, he would go find fans and be like, we know we're pretty much one game. He literally said, quote, bar for bar was, "We suck, I know, and we're working on it every day to get better. We're busting our ass to get better." And that was his exact quote. And he never shied away from criticism. He always faced it head on, and that's something that I admire about him. And like Jose said, Ajax, they're the biggest club in their Divisie in the Netherlands. So it's a lot of eyes on him there now. Their keeper situation, Jaros, the young goalkeeper from Czech Republic, he's on loan and has been a little bit underperforming and underwhelming for what they want. So they're not going to make the deal permanent, from what I understand, unless it's a huge turnaround. So it's basically Maarten's job to lose at that point after these 6 months. But he wanted to go to where Dallas could have a full year to build around him. And I might be jumping ahead here, but we signed Sirois as well, who's a really good backup in case. And he could also start. I mean, he's 24 with over 100 plus appearances, I believe, for Montreal. And granted, Montreal's defense has been the greatest, but he's made some insane saves, including against Dallas in the last meeting. So it's one of those things. It's like y'all said, it's a win-win. Paes gets to move on. We recouped more transfer money than we paid. It was about $1.6 million, not counting add-ons or fees and all that incentive bonuses stuff, which wasn't much. But Zanata's a good seller, man. So reason he's still with FC Dallas, because while the buys haven't been great, the sells are amazing. So it's one of those things that let's keep dipping. So Paes' move overall, it sucks to see him go as a person, but as a club and as sports is a business. As a business move, it's a great move for Dallas and for Maarten as well.
Yeah, Chris, just your thoughts and specifically what it means for Collodi. I mean, who we've watched come through North Texas, 4 years at Columbia. We didn't think he would be a number one potential guy. Certainly a great guy, great human being himself. But what a rise of Michael Collodi.
No, and honestly, obviously just had to throw it out there. Super, sad to see Paes go, but super excited for him as well. Obviously a huge opportunity for him. But excited to see what Collodi does. Obviously he's going into the season with the expectations as goalkeeper number one for FC Dallas, and that's a big kind of opportunity. We have seen some really successful goalkeepers come through here. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of takes this challenge. And, obviously, as Colin mentioned, we did sign Sirois. So I wonder how much he'll end up pushing Collodi to be better, he won MLS Next Pro. He's won, previously to that. The guy, even though he might not have the physical attributes that a lot of people kind of knock him for, like, oh, you're not tall enough, or he's a winner. And I think that's the biggest thing that I take away from him. And he's just only getting better every season. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how well he performs. And I know he'll probably rise to the challenge. So.
Yeah, Favi, FC Dallas wants to be a selling team, and really Major League Soccer wants to be a selling league. And that doesn't mean you're going to make bank on every sale, but it means if teams are coming and legit teams are coming to look at this, this is a win, right? It's a win for the league. It's a win for FC Dallas to have a guy come here and rebuild his career and then go to one of the biggest clubs in Europe, right?
Yeah, look, you guys kind of have it handled. This was insane insight from the counter at a GameStop. I just want to shout out this podcast right now. This is wild. Like, no pre-orders on the newest games, dog. You need to be in studio, all right? No, but in all seriousness, there is one person or at least one aspect of this that's a total loss. If you're an MLS social media manager right now, you are crying to sleep. All right. This is possibly the biggest loss for the MLS social media team besides Lionel Messi and son leaving this league. Paes had so much motion. It was kind of wild. Like, that's why when I tweeted out, MLS just lost its most famous player for basically nothing. I was pretty shocked. I'm not going to lie. But, it's Ajax. You got to respect a team that big coming for your player. This is kind of hey, we're going to do this for you, but maybe look at some other talent down in the future from us. It's almost like a good business decision to sell to Ajax, even though it's possibly not the biggest fee. And you're helping out with your business relationship with this club. That's a ginormous club in Europe, right? Let's not forget Ajax possibly not having the best seasons or a couple seasons in the last couple of years, but a behemoth in the Netherlands, excuse me. So no, I think this, like you all said here, this is a win-win for both sides. You guys recoup your money that you spent. He rebuilt his career in FC Dallas. FC Dallas is a selling team. Let me loop it back to your question. It reminds me a lot, and maybe you guys are going to get a little bit mad about this, but it's a compliment, I swear, okay? You guys remind me a lot of the Philadelphia Union of the West. Great academy, great selling procedures, always somehow in it. I mean, look at you guys last year. Like, somehow, with everything that happened with Lucho, you guys still made the playoffs. And you guys are still a great selling organization, and that's totally fine. I mean, look at other selling organizations that haven't done what, you know, FC Dallas and Philadelphia Union has done. Let me tell you one right now: the San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, the San Jose Earthquakes is a team that's consistently failed at what FC Dallas is doing. And I know the fan base hates to hear that, right? Your best players move on to the bigger leagues in Europe and have fruitful careers. But hey, you guys all get a chance to watch your favorite players play in Europe. Like, that's so cool at the same time, right? Like, one day MLS is going to be there where we won't sell to Europe. For the time being, FC Dallas has been able to stay competitive, sell great players to big European teams, and also reap their academy and find ways to draft good and really use every single way to make this roster feel complete and competitive. And maybe they've struck out on a couple of transfers or a couple of trades, but hey, they're still chugging along. You're still getting money for a possible backup goalkeeper with a lot of motion, and maybe his transfer fee pays himself off with just social media interactions with Ajax, but that's besides the point. I think this is a huge win when FC Dallas social media manager, who is, again, if it's the same one of the best in the game, from his Ricardo Pepi saga, is probably really hurt on this one.
Yeah, that's the lose. If there's a lose part of that, it's all those Indonesian comments and the fans. And of course, there was some rumor that Paes had some interest in going to one of the bigger clubs in Indonesia, but even though Paes himself came on and was like, no, there's nothing to that. But would have been fun. But,
and I want to quickly add to this. Sorry to cut you off. The only time I saw my name heard in a news broadcast where I wasn't featured on was in Indonesia. Those guys are crazy soccer fans. And don't let anybody tell you Indonesians do not like soccer. That's a straight up lie. I always look up the metrics of like where my name pops up, and Java is literally one of the highest ranked cities all the time, which is so weird to us here. But in Indonesia, they know their soccer and they know where to get their news from and where the interviews come from. They're very smart fans. FC Dallas is going to miss a lot of fans, that's for sure.
Yeah, true. There's a market there. FC Dallas has got to start an academy. That's what they've got to do.
No, honestly.
Why not? Well, continuing on, Sarah comes in, potentially number 2, potentially. The guy has starting experience, so he's going to push Collodi. I think, but only 24 years old. So we have 2 guys who are not even in their prime yet to push, and as well as some young pipeline.
Both extremely young for their position too, by the way.
Yeah. So who knows what can happen in the future? But it also says that FC Dallas felt comfortable about who they have in goal to lead this team. And really, you mentioned, Favi, a year ago, we lived the 2025 season, which started with the excitement of Quill coming in, of going out and getting Lucho Acosta to pair with Musa, to pair with Logan Farrington, these Anderson, Julio, you have some pieces that can score, and then to see it just not work. What a mess. But one of the things I noticed from the FC Dallas Agenda podcast guys, they just mentioned Steve Davis, a friend of the show. He just said, like, hey, a year ago, this FC Dallas didn't have an identity under Quill. Quill was trying to figure it out, trying to make it work. A year later, preseason, this team has an identity, that dog mentality, a 3-5-2, a formation. They know what kind of player they want. They know the kind of work rate they want from guys. so many answers now to this team, and so I think that makes it also easy for them to say, hey, we can sell Paes because we feel good about the kind of guys we have that kind of fit where we are and fit where we're going. But that leads us into the preseason. That has been on display. I think that's the big thread of preseason. It's hard. I think preseason is one of the hardest things to report on in Major League Soccer because, these guys are just getting fit. It's easy to get overly excited about preseason results. Young guys who are super draft picks coming in and getting a chance to do a couple things, but then they disappear. And fans get grumble sometimes, especially FC Dallas fans can grumble about our preseason flash in the pans. But what I think is the thread, regardless of the results, is that this team knows who they are. And we've seen that on display in these 3 preseason matches. I think we'll see it what's to come. And so now it's more about Quill and staff and this team figuring out how to put the pieces in place to have the most success, including Musa, including Farrington up top, a solid midfield, finding those wing backs to really help support the attack. And so I'm just curious for you guys, we'll kind of reverse right. Chris, has there been anything from the preseason that has given you some extra hope or extra kind of built up your excitement already? I know we've seen these 2 draft picks, Nicholas Simmons and Ricky Lewis, really shine. I don't know if that means they're going to get a lot of minutes come the season, but has this preseason performance gotten you even feeling higher on this team going into 2026, Chris?
I mean, unfortunately, I think just with the quality of the teams that we played so far, I mean, obviously played RSL, but haven't seen enough yet to be like, oh man, like this is going to be our cup this year, obviously. But, I think one promising thing that I saw, you mentioned Ricky Lewis, dude is a stud. You can see why we picked him number 2 in the draft because he's just outperformed any, sort of metrics. I think I saw somewhere on Twitter, it was, showing like, how well he's performed in college based off his stats. And I was like, I didn't love the pick at 2, but he is phenomenal. And clearly the coaching staff saw something from him because he's a stud, and it'll be interesting to see how he links up. I think he'll probably spend most of his time in North Texas this season. He may be one of those guys that gets brought up a little bit sooner, but he's exciting to watch, and I'm excited to see how the rest of those guys do. Nicholas Simmons, I think, is really talented, still a little young, but I think the team's shaping up really well. It's nice that we have multiple defender options this year, and we're not just talking about Ibiaga and, what's his face, Abubakar being in our starting defender rotation. As much as I love them, I don't want to throw anything negative because I do love them, but we've got options, and I think that's the biggest thing for us this year is we've got depth, and it'll be exciting to see what we build off of that if we ever bring in a number 10.
Yeah, Favi, from the outside looking in at this team, I mean, Logan Farrington was a draft pick, and the dude has been brilliant. I mean, I still think he has another gear if he's really going to become more than just a nice squad piece for a mid MLS team. I mean, if he can get 10 goals in a season, I mean, I think we might see that this year. I mean, we could see him take that next step. It just creates so many more opportunities for this team. But here comes Ricky Lewis, Nicholas Simmons. These guys probably going to get minutes, somewhat North Texas, but are making the case at least. But that seems like it's in some cases it's becoming less common for these teams to come out and get super draft guys who contribute in significant ways. It happens, but but should fans from last side looking in, is this I don't know where I'm going, but maybe is FC Dallas, is this too much? I mean, like, we got our academy. The Union trade away all their draft picks.
I'm going to say this. I love the super draft, and I think you can find great pieces in the super draft even still. I like any possible outcome for a guy to get a look or to get a chance to be on an MLS squad or even an MLS Next Pro squad. Again, there's guys that come out of college. I mean, I've known them very personally. For example, a guy that I covered from my MLS Next Pro days, Max Arfston, a guy who nobody was on, basically nobody's radar for his college days, then gets an opportunity in MLS Next Pro and then goes on to get drafted and then officially play for the Columbus Crew, and now he's possibly making his way to Europe. This to me looks like a very similar trajectory to what Logan Farrington could be. Now, Max wasn't a sure-in starter. He won that position, and then he started banging in goals. Then he got, I think over 10 goal contributions, and then he started getting some looks from Europe. So 100% Logan Farrington can have that next gear and may possibly make that step into Europe or even wherever he wants to go, right? But I do think there is still talent in this MLS the Super Draft, and I think we're gonna see it. Like, for example, a guy like Bo LaRue from San Jose, he went to San Jose State. I mean, not a school really known for its soccer. I mean, there was a couple of good guys that came out of there, but again, got an opportunity. Bruce Arena saw what he had, gave him a chance to start, and I still think there's plenty of talent in the collegiate level of soccer in the United States. So no, I'm totally against trading away all your draft picks, because I think that's such a boneheaded move to make unless you're a team like Miami. I just think you still have to fill an MLS Next Pro roster. That's the honest truth too. And these guys are going to be more valuable than ever. I think when possibly guys are leaving last minute, when we're all aligning on the same deadline day, I think you're going to see teams needing to be a little, deeper at all positions, because who knows, what if a $25 million offer comes in for Peter Musa, and then now you're stuck without anything behind. No, I still think you can find good quality depth pieces in the Super Draft for your MLS side, but then I also think you can still find those gems in the rough, and I think Logan Farrington is exactly that. I think you're exactly right with him having another gear. Take a look at Max Arfston. Reminds me very similar of that trajectory. Maybe he makes that step into a middle of the table kind of team in the championship, or even like a smaller league in Europe, and who knows, maybe he gets some looks for the United States national team. And then if you're getting looks for the USMNT as a player, man, you made it. Like, you're playing for your country. It's I don't think you think any less of yourself once you're at that point, and it will come.
Sure. I just think from FC Dallas fans over the years, it's like, if you probably polled a lot of the fans, it's, hey, why doesn't this club spend more money? Why don't they go out and get those big name talents instead of going to the Super Draft? Instead of just working the academy, even though it's been very successful, right? But then likewise, you go to the Super Draft. Sometimes you see these kids come in and you hope they're going to be everything in a bag of chips, and it just turns out that development's a tricky thing in soccer. It's a tricky thing. No matter how talented a kid looks, it doesn't mean it's going to work out. There's a certain mystery. I mean, we look at Paxton Pomykal for that. We have been waiting for that breakout year after year, and it's just injuries and bad luck. It just it stinks, and this is unfortunately life. But
I think the people with the worst luck in MLS, the two people, is Ricky Puig and Paxton. Those to me might have the worst luck out of any players.
Yeah. Coop, anything you've seen in preseason action so far that has you excited about this team?
I mean, kind of mentioned by Chris, Ricky Lewis, obviously, 2 goals, 3 goals, 2 assists, or 2 goals, 3 assists. If you count the penalty, that's another assist if you want to get super deep in the statistic books. But it's one of those things where, something that stuck out to me is the right-hand side of the field is clear and obvious of Shaq Moore at the right center back that will shift into like a 4-back if needed to let Johansson go forward. And it's one of those things like the right side of the field is kind of locked up of Erman and Shaq Moore on the right. What stood out to me was seeing Diego Garcia get significant minutes, and what I mean by that is playing more minutes in, I believe, the last 2 games against better opponents than Delgado. That means that Quill obviously likes Diego Garcia as a player, and Diego played to that standard. And something I like to see, as much as I like Bernie as a person, as a left wing back, I'm not a huge fan, as I've made on this fan, but he also, he's rotating Sarver in there. He's rotating Ricky Lewis at wing back, played him at striker and wing back. And then also Kumungo was there, and Kumungo looked fantastic. Obviously, the level of play is not to the standard we're going to be playing against, except for RSL at the end of the preseason tournament there. Um, but I think these next two games coming up, we have a game this weekend. I think it's Houston at 1 at Toyota, and then another one midweek next week, and then another preseason game. I think it's Red Bulls next week. I might have them swapped where it's Red Bulls this week or Houston next week. But it's one of those things where you're back home, you're back in the States, you're back getting used to playing in Frisco weather. It's a little bit chilly, back to the 70s now, but you're back on get on normal time and playing. Opponents you're going to be playing throughout the year. We play both, obviously Houston twice the year, and we play Red Bulls, I believe, in New Jersey this year as well. So it's opponents you'll see later down the road. So it's one of those things where seeing this team in preseason, something that I enjoy seeing is you can kind of start to see what they want to do for starting 11, with the back line being um, Norris, Uragide, and Shaq Moore. Everyone's kind of freaking out because Ibiaga started 2 games and everything, and it's it's still that veteran experience. As much as we might want Nolan Norris to get that start and everything with his experience and at the youth level, and for him to develop. Don't be worried about preseason. We're gonna have Nolan starting a lot more games this year. The cinemated double people worried about Ramiro being a single pivot. Don't worry again. It's preseason. We played Kappas at 10. I doubt we see Kappas as a 10 for the prolonged future unless Delgado gets hurt or Dallas is looking to wait on a DP10, which I would assume is what's going to happen based on what I've heard for the summer. So it's one of those things where we need to not also overreact to what we saw in Portugal. The realization is this is a time to get some of these players that might not get professional minutes or first team minutes all the time to get them acquainted and see, okay, throw them into the fire. You're just now starting preseason. You've been here 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see what you got. And if they can compete at that level, that tells Quill and the coaching staff, hey, here's our possible next Sam Sarver. Here's our possible next, Tariq Scott, who got a little bit of opportunity with training with FC Dallas. The next Ricardo Pepi. It's one of those things where let's throw these kids into the fire because that's exactly how we found these talents in the past. Like your Kalen Acostas, your Tanner Tessman. I mean, Tanner Tessman went from North Texas SC to starting day one, and we're like, huh? Why is he starting? And he played half a season, and we sold him to Venezia for $4 million, which was one of our biggest outbound transfers at the time. So it's one of those things where it's like you never know what's going to happen until you start putting those kids in and start letting them play. And everyone was worried what Sarver would do with the first team if he would live up to it, and I'd say he lived up to that intensity and everything else. So, I think we're going to get a lot more answers when we're back playing here in the States now. Now that we're 2 weeks or 3 weeks now from the season starting, you got to make your designations. You got to sign these players to contracts, whether it's going to be a next pro to loaned up to the pro contract. If it's going to be a pro contract, we can load down to next pro. North Texas just had their first preseason game against Foro, and I believe they won 7-1 or 8-1, something like that.
8-1.
8-1. And that's with, I think it was 6 trialists that started, which again, some of those kids, really good kids. So it's one of those things where, you got to start building your roster like we were saying earlier. And I'm not, the one thing that stood out to me is for sure Ricky Lewis will be a player that will definitely probably get some FC Dallas minutes, most likely in like an Open Cup game or maybe or no, we don't have Open Cup this year. Never mind. But it'll be more. It'll be more.
You meant Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leagues Cup, but probably like a Leagues Cup game. Like if we've secured our group or we're in a good spot, maybe he'll get Leagues Cup minutes or just some minutes here and there for rotation, stuff like that, or for injury, heaven forbid. So it's one of those things where, preseason has me excited just to get the MLS season started again, man. I wanna get my hands on back into the Toyota Stadium, seeing the my boys again because I live 2 hours north of Dallas, so I'm driving there every game. Haven't seen them in months, so I'm excited for all that. That's what preseason has me excited for, just the actual season to get to see everybody again, get back in the stadium and start having fun again.
Get that Munster taco again if they bring that back. But Jose, any thoughts that you've seen from preseason that stuck out with you so far?
I didn't see anything that I would say got me too excited or anything like that. I was just curious to see how the new faces would fit in, how they'd be used, and I'm pretty happy with what I've seen so far. Got to see a glimpse of Binyamin, get some activity out there. I'm curious to see how this midfield it's a very crowded midfield. I mean, we've got so many players, and I would argue that while everyone, and I'm not arguing, I'm hearing like everybody else, we're going to get a DP10. I would argue we might be better off getting a DP number 6 because this team is swimming in number 8s, swimming in them. Even the academy swimming in 8s. So I think this team would be better served with having a DP6 and dual 8s ahead of them because that's where all the midfield talent is for this team. Just swimming. I mean, Paxton. You got the new guy from Israel. You got Delgado, who's more of an 8 than a 10. You got uh, Kappas, and not to mention Garcia. There's so much talent at the 8 spot that I would not be shocked if let's not forget that for FC Dallas when it comes to acquiring players, they're opportunists. They will grab the player that falls in their lap. So if a DP6 level player becomes available, they will not hesitate to grab that guy. So I'm just saying, yes, we all want a DP10. I'm okay with a DP6 because I've always said, if we had a DP6, this team would be in business. But I said I'm happy either way. Uh, and the other reason I will say that is because I have way more faith in Delgado than I think anybody has a right to be. Everyone forgets that Delgado stepping up his game is the reason that FC Dallas could move away from Lucio Acosta, and that was just really his first year playing that spot. I hear other podcasts talk about the team as if none of the young players we have are going to improve from last year. There are so many young players on this squad. Delgado, uh, Nolan, you're talking about Kaique, you're talking about Torquato, Sarver, Collodi. You can keep going. This team is swimming in young players, and how much each of those players improve is going to determine how far this team gets. And I'm very the young talent available to the squad. We may be lacking in difference makers, but the potential for this squad is through the roof. And another one last thing, I keep hearing, "Oh, this player's for North Texas. This player's North Texas." I don't think that's a bad thing. North Texas has been a proven ground for FCD. You look at the players in the last couple of years that have come up from North Texas that have performed. You're talking about Kamungo, Collodi, Sarver, Torquato, and they consistently bring up a player or two from North Texas, and not at the end of the year either. We're talking these are players that play for half a season in North Texas and then jump up, and that's what I foresee for some of these draft picks. They may go to North Texas while the team figures it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if one or two get brought up to the senior team. I'm very happy where this team is right now. I think this is already a playoff squad, lower playoff squad, but I think the moves and the development of the young, we're swimming in young players. I mean, even Farrington's a young player. This team is swimming in so much young talent that with the right moves, this team could definitely become maybe not a contender, but certainly a dark horse.
Well, thanks, Michael Mortensen, too, for the comment in our chat. The need for number 10 has been the big conversation piece. Quill has talked about it. Andre Zanota has talked about it, that's who they're looking for. They've shored up some of the center back position, at least brought some more competition in, and especially wing back. So there's been some work done to improve this roster. But I think that's the big question. And Favi, I want to turn to you since you're with us tonight. You're from the outside looking in at this team. They made the late run into the playoffs. We're not even in the playoff conversation, but sort of took advantage, got hot at the right time, which can happen in this league. But where do you see FC Dallas kind of in the cluster of MLS teams? Are we contenders? Are we just in the playoff mix? And what is it that this team needs? Is it that number 10? Is it that playmaker to really push this team potentially into a contender kind of status?
Yeah, let me throw out a crazy 6 because this is just a crazy take, but Casemiro was linked to MLS, a month ago, and man, would that be a dream signing for FC Dallas? Unless you're not a Man U fan, but man's been playing out of his mind at Manchester United recently. But that's just a crazy six to throw out there. I don't think it will happen. But no, I think a 10 is something that Dallas desperately needs. I've always thought Dallas could do a little bit more. I know fans probably hate to say this, bargain bin hunting. A guy that's still out there is Bryce Duke. I think he could be an interesting guy to kind of bring in, and maybe he can fill a role for this team. Diego Fagundes is another one that they can possibly bring in to fill in that role. Or, I mean, FC Dallas is usually having some, gam laying around. They can go get a 10 from another team. I was kind of thinking about like, how do you bring in a guy to FC Dallas as a free agent? It might be tough, because FC Dallas doesn't have possibly the best kind of attractive option for a free agent. But hey, if you can get a guy on an expiring deal and maybe re-sign him and say, hey, we want to build this project around you, you might be, thinking that's possible. I know it sounds crazy, but I could easily see a guy like Carlos Hill coming over one day. If it doesn't go well with the Revs this season, possibly next season, that could be a target. But you guys want to fill that in right now. But what I was going to try to say eventually, I think if Dallas gets a 10, and it's a 10 that knows how to play in MLS, and I think they are still a playoff contender. I think you need to shore up that back line a little bit more if we're looking at a true title contender. I could see FC Dallas actually challenging for a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot. I think that's something where Dallas fans can get excited for, possibly, qualifying for the Champions Cup next season. And I think that would be a great goal. And I think if you find a way to bring in a 10 and possibly bring in some more reinforcements, if you guys land a Champions Cup berth, I mean, that's miles ahead of what people expect from FC Dallas, right? So no, I think that is a true kind of benchmark for you guys, and I think you guys will be contending for it, especially in a tournament like Leagues Cup this year.
Yeah, I think fans are impatient, if anything, for that number 10. I mean, maybe we can develop that guy within, but that takes time. And I don't know that we have that number 10, I think, in the pipeline just yet. If so.
Yeah, 10s are hard to make, right? And I think we all know that here. And at the same time, MLS is a 10 league, right? We have some of the most 10s in this league, right? So it's interesting because I think it might be easier to kind of grab a 10 from another team or possibly go looking for a 10 on developing one. I think developing one's a little tougher.
Yeah. Well, Favi, I know we need to start to wind the show down because I think you got another pod to get to, but this is kind of a weird offseason. Obviously, you have on one end of the spectrum, you have Inter Miami, who have just gone out and gotten better. And it's almost not fair. It's almost not fair. Fans complain. How is this working under Major League Soccer rules, financial rules, da-da-da-da. And then at the same time, you also have a team at the very other end of the spectrum, Sporting Kansas City, which may not even have enough players signed right now to compete. And we're weeks away. And they're going to get it done. They're going to get some guys, but it may be a 3 or 4 year rebuilding project there for all we know. I mean, they are down to the bare minimums right now. They're going to have to really pull some together. But then, not in
MLS. In MLS, you can be last place today and first place tomorrow. So
sure,
I say 2 years.
Sure, 2 years, but still, it's going to take some time. But then you also now have these rumors. Well, you have Obed Vargas, from Seattle going to Atletico Madrid. What a big time move. Buanga's got rumors flying that he might be heading down to Fluminense to join up with Lucho. You got Kevin Dinky from Cincy's getting interest. I'm now blanking on the guy just from the Crew, if I'm thinking right. Canadian
Jason Russell Rowe.
Yeah, just what a great move for him. I mean, it's a strange one because we're 3 weeks away, and these are some major stars. That there is smoke, there is fire, that they're on the move, and so it makes for a strange start to the league where Inter Miami is just sort of like we're going to go get even better. And now you could have LAFC that's having to go out and find that next Bouanga. And that's tough. That's not easy. That's not easy to do as you start the year. And you have a Galaxy team with, missing Ricky, for another season. That's not easy. What do you make of this 2026 so far for Major League Soccer?
Yeah, honestly, it is a weird offseason, but every offseason before a World Cup is weird, right? I think we're seeing a lot of guys leave last minute because a lot of these offers, if I'm not mistaken, have been always coming in at the end of our transfer window, or at least there's been rumors about it. And now I think a lot of teams are looking at the summer transfer window after the World Cup, and they're thinking, man, we need to be in prime position to get guys like Antoine Griezmann, to get guys that are going to stay like Richarlison, to get guys who are going to like the States, like the facilities that are here and want to play soccer here. Now, with the current roster rules, you kind of have to think, how am I going to make space for all these European guys that want to be in here, right? And I think this is a situation where LAFC may be playing a little too naive, honestly. I don't like the rumors for Bouanga. I think Bouanga is a bona fide star in this league, and I think you need to get at least $25 million. I mean, I heard some crazy numbers for Kevin Denke. I mean, like $33 million for a guy who only played a season in MLS, which is wild. So I know he's younger, but I think Bouanga deserves a higher price tag. But like I was saying earlier, I think teams are taking their opportunities to free up some spots for those big international superstars that are going to like to stay here after the World Cup. And I think we're going to see a mass influx of players coming in at that time. And with the current roster rules, you need to open up slots and you need to get as much GAM as you can. I always think, I really think that these transfers have always been there, like last second things before the MLS season, because just the way this weird schedule is set up. But I think teams are actually thinking about it this time around because there could be a possibility of an even bigger player coming in. Now, teams like FC Dallas, bringing it back to the pod, I would be honestly not shocked if someone came in with a $25 million bill for Musa, a week before the season starts. I honestly wouldn't be shocked. And I hate to say that. I hate to say it, but if you got good players in MLS, proven like Musa is, you're probably going to get some antagonizing offers before this MLS season, and it's going to make you think, it's going to test your fan base, and that's happening exactly right now with LAFC and Obed Vargas. I mean, we all knew he was going to go. We just didn't think that the Club World Cup game would be his showcase, So no, good for him. I think it's a great move for the league, and I'm excited. But yeah, no, don't be shocked if some offers come in for these guys who are proven in MLS before this World Cup.
It's made for an exciting preseason, and I know the rumors will keep flying, even though some windows. And of course, I've been on the sort of Weston McKennie needs to come home to FC Dallas bandwagon. But the way the guy is playing, I mean, someone is gonna bring out the cash for him. I mean,
and let me say this too. Now we're sorry to cut you off. On the topic of the USMNT guys, I see a lot of MLS USMNT guys leaving after this World Cup too. Like, for example, like a Diego Luna, I don't see in this league past this World Cup. I don't see a guy like Max Arfson staying in this league past this World Cup. Those guys are going to leave as well. This league is going to have a crazy facelift by the 2027 season.
Yeah, good point.
Combined with the schedule change, yes, it's gonna be a whole new ballgame.
This is a big year for MLS, and the next year is even bigger. I mean, it's seismic. I mean, and exciting. I mean, exciting. And I think that's why it maybe makes sense for FC Dallas fans who don't want to hear this. We want to get that number 10 now. We want to start winning now. But you wait until the guys are, after the World Cup, are more open to moving, or maybe there's some emergence of talent, potential number 10s that are going to show up for their national teams that were not even on anyone's radar, and that Dallas says, we want that guy, and he's ready to move. He's got, there's the World Cup changes so much in the valuation of these guys and the emergence of stars. And really, there's so much chaos swirling around this World Cup this year. If the U.S. doesn't make a deep run, it'll be a pretty disappointing campaign. I mean, things have aligned for this team to potentially to be home soil and a run of form of some of these players at just the right time. But it's still months away. We got a long ways to go.
I'm going to say this too. Since the World Cup is bigger, this is a bigger showcase for MLS to show off their facilities to so many new players that have never even thought about playing soccer in the United States. I mean, there's probably some starlet on Uzbekistan that could, never thought about going to MLS, right? And then who knows, he ends up being the 10 for FC Dallas one day, and then he kills it here, and then he makes another transfer somewhere else, right? Who knows? There's going to be so many more teams, national teams in the United States, that I think it's going to be enticing for teams to kind of snatch up that talent right after the World Cup.
I want to add to that, though. I think also another big thing with the World Cup taking place in the United States, it's going to be an eye-opening experience for some of these players from other countries that don't realize that, hey, let's say you're a Polish player. There's a massive Polish population in Chicago. You're in New York City. You're going to have massive multiple populations. I don't think that a lot of players realize that you can come play in the United States and still feel almost like you're at home because look at Son. I mean, you realize how big the Korean community is here in the United States when you see how everyone's going crazy. He's a massive draw. So I think that's one of the selling points that I don't think people realize is there's many international communities here in the United States, massive communities, and I think it'll be eye opening for some of these players when they realize what kind of fandom there is awaiting for them here. I know that Nathan probably wants to wrap this up soon, but I quick question for my fellow North Texas sicko Chris is, do you know who any of those trialists were? Because I like to, figure out who they are and see if we're going to sign any of them. Oh,
yeah.
Look at this guy.
At the moment, I've just got the one listed there at the goalkeeper's position, Eric. But no, I don't have word of anyone else yet. But that roster that Nathan showed up on the screen, if we can get like a guy like Ricky Lewis down, Nick Simmons is down too, I like our chances. I think North Texas has a really, really great group of players, a really young talent with guys got like Benji Flowers, who's a stud. You got Sam Seta, who, had 4 goals in the preseason game. So, I mean, some exciting people to watch. But no, to your question, Jose, no information aside from Eric on the trialists, but don't worry. I'll let you know when I find out.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. We haven't even started really to touch upon North Texas and MLS Next Pro. Another exciting year for them. It's going to be fun to watch. And from what I understand, they're going to keep playing games during the World Cup break. Is that correct? From what we
yes, I believe so.
Because I think North Texas is going to open their own stadium, Mansfield. On July 4th or July 3rd. And so,
July 4th, yep.
Yeah, and so I think that's in the midst of World Cup, so it's going to be interesting. We're going to have some extra soccer to watch during that time.
I mean, I think that would make sense because, I mean, how many players are getting called up from MLS Next Pro to play for a World Cup team? I'm not saying some smaller nations don't have players there, but it's not a lot. I would make a lot of sense to have, your Division 3 teams keep playing during the World Cup.
Yeah. Look, the championship always plays during international breaks, so it's completely normal across the world for teams like lower league teams to play during those breaks.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Good stuff, Chris. Appreciate that graphic. Of course, follow Chris for some North Texas stuff. We're just starting to see them kind of coming together. Some of those trialists will know some of their names and maybe find some intriguing guys, some academy pipeline. Looking for the next Sam Sarver, the next guy to come in and just just blow everything up. I mean, what a fun guy. What
Win
a
our
fun
hearts.
player. Gosh, yeah. But we'll leave it. Well, before we go, Favi, just really quick, tell us a little bit about Kickbase. And I know, for us to have it in our ears, in case we hear it come up this week.
Yeah. So we're having a big announcement over at Kickbase this week. So Kickbase USA. So make sure you go ahead and give us a follow on socials. If you're a fan of soccer in the United States, you're going to like this one. Because I know we're all excited over here to make that announcement this week. So please, you can follow me at Favian Renkel and stay tuned for what we got cooking over here.
All right. Well, Favi, appreciate it. Jose, Chris, Colin, thanks for jumping on tonight. Nice long
Always a
show.
pleasure, guys.
Yeah, so much more to get to in the coming weeks, but best of luck on this marathon. We'll close it out there. Of course, everybody, afterburn.soccer, follow us there on Substack as well as on social media. We'll be posting the audio later. Find it wherever you find podcasts. Appreciate it, everybody. Good night. Weeks to go till Major League Soccer season 2026 kicks off. Can't wait. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, guys.